Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Jeff again coming to you from the Minecraft vanilla server, and I am back from France. And today's going to be an episode talking about France. But I noticed something, so I quickly came back inside and stopped messing around out here because somebody has left me a present. Let's see if we can find anything to tell me anything about this here. So either way, as you can see, it looks like I've got a giant, I'm assuming dog? I'll have to look at it from a distance in a minute. Here we go, what is it? Every ski resort needs a mascot, so here is Jeffrey, the polar bear. Happy skiing, Arcus. How cute. I'm excited. Like, I think I saw it from a distance. I was down here collecting some resources and I turned around. Let's go back and look at this thing. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, this looks amazing. So I'm very, very, very excited. Thank you, Arcus. That is amazing because it will stay there forever and be the mascot of this place. Check that out. Dude, that is awesome. I'm so excited now. So anyways, that being said, I am back from France, and we got some things here to do in Minecraft. I know a lot of people were concerned while I was gone, and they were asking a lot of questions on other series and be like, what, is this series gone now? Such as the one with the Merry Gamer, Terror Restore, as well as Grand Theft Auto, as well as the 404 challenge redo. No, none of that stuff is done. I just have not been able to do it because, how did you stand up, kitty? I have not been able to do it because of the fact that I've been out of town. So don't worry, those series will come back. I'm not going to tell you that they're going to come back like right now because of the fact that I just got back last night, late last night, and I am super busy for the next few days, finishing up work and things like that. But yeah, so there's a lot of, I don't know, it's going to be a delay. There's going to be a lot of like channel updates coming up with my channel at some point soon as well, because I've had time to do a lot of thinking and exploration about the future direction of my channel and things like that while I was gone, taking a kind of a break from the YouTubes since you know, I was uploading a couple of videos from France. But it was kind of a break from the YouTube for me, and I think it was a good break, and we'll get into that stuff, not right away, not in this episode probably, because this is just going to be an episode on France. Now, France, I will start out by saying that everybody says that when you go move, if you move to a foreign country, or if you go to some place like, you know, France, that you can pretty much get by without speaking any French because pretty much everybody speaks English. I will tell you, I did not find that that was the case. Granted, in Paris itself, a lot of people, not most, I wouldn't still say, not most people who worked there, like tourists and stuff sure did, but most, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people don't speak English. So it was actually a lot harder to communicate than I assumed it was going to be, because I went in kind of with this like, well, I don't really need to do much because, you know, the people are going to be able to speak English. Granted, we spent most of our time in France, not in Paris. And I'll tell you, that is good and that is bad. So I've never been to Europe before. I had never, oh, Jesus Christ, that scared the crap out of me. Holy Jesus. I had never been to Europe. Why did I do that? I had never been to Europe before. I went to, you know, France for the first time. It was pretty cool. But it's always a learning experience. And I'll tell you, I'm one of those people who, I know people say that you shouldn't go to, you know, Paris, that's not where you want to spend your time, you know, that's just like touristy and blah blah blah. I was very gung-ho and determined, like, I want to spend some time in Paris. I've never been to Europe. I want Paris. Like, it's what everybody knows. People don't want to stay there because of the fact that they have already been to Paris. I'm looking for coordinates to see if I can actually make a portal to that area that I was at, is what I'm actually doing. But I wanted to spend some time in Paris. So, unfortunately, I don't want to sound ungrateful because I'm not. There was some great planning and things like that that were done, but I will tell you, when Julia gets her mind set to something, she gets her mind set to something. And when she was going to, when she knew I was going to France with her, she wanted to plan this huge trip to France. Like, let's plan France, let's do France. And one of the very first things she asked is she just kept talking about, do you want to go to Brittany? Do you want to go to Normandy? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? And like, you know, she gets really excited about trips. So she was just in planning phase, planning mode, just must plan, must do this, plan. And the very first thing I said was, I don't want to spend my first time in France going around and not seeing the stuff in, like, the touristy stuff in France. I want to see the touristy stuff in France. I think this will actually be exactly where I need it to be. I said, I want to do the touristy things in France because I've never been there before. And I'll tell you, that kind of got lost in translation. I don't know if that would be a word for it, because there's a lot of lost in translation that happened on this trip for sure, but not you know, with her. But Julie is one of those people who, she hears what she wants to hear. You guys know what I'm talking about, you know. It's she definitely heard what I said, but then just kept bringing up Normandy, Brittany, Chinon, let's go, all these places. What do you want to do? Let's look at this. Let's look at this tonight. Ah, yes, I did it. I came back to my little doggies. My little one doggy who's left, poor guy. Yes, there's all my stuff too. Awesome. So now I have a way to get over to this stuff, and I can go back into this cave and explore and enjoy. And I should feed this dog before he dies or something. Yes, I know, I just dropped that on the ground. So finally, after a while, I was like, look, okay, you are fine. I don't want to light you on fire. There we go. She just kept asking me the same things, and like, didn't seem like she was listening to what I said. So I was like, fine. I was like, just plan the trip. I was like, I'm whatever. You're gonna make your plans. Just make your plans. I said, I straight up told you I didn't want to go outside of, you know, Paris right away, because I'm only gonna be there for. I was only there for 5 days, 4 nights, and she's gonna be there all week. So I know that she didn't want to stay in Paris because she's gonna be in Paris still all week, and in actually Paris for her conference, and then because she actually went there for a conference. I just tagged along at the beginning of the trip right before the conference started and left on the first day of it. Her family's actually going to meet her at the end, so they're going on another trip outside of, you know, different parts of France at the end of the week. So she's had like a huge, like 15 days off or something like that she's gonna be there for. And yes, she's going to be in, you know, France or in Paris for most of this week, even though the conference is just outside of Paris. But either way, so she plans this trip all around basically the east part of France. I can't say it's even the east part. It's like a ring through Normandy and through Saint Malo and then through down to Chinon and all these different places. And on paper, I was like, okay, you know, this is fine. We'll do this. Is obviously what she wants to do. You know, I give in. Like, let the woman make her choice, because I know that, you know, she obviously wasn't listening to me when I said I didn't want to, you know, get too far outside of, you know, Paris anyway. So on paper, this trip looks good, but she neglected, even though she got directions to everything, she neglected to realize. I hear you, zombies. Where are you? She neglected to realize how far everything actually was. And I will tell you, France for me was pretty much sitting in a car for at least 4 hours every single day. And I gotta tell you, that is not that enjoyable to me. I mean, France was cool. But I honestly got to say, I did not have the greatest time. Look at that. There's gold. There's the ravine. That's scary. I did not have the greatest time in the world. I'm hoping that London is going to be a lot better, because I don't know. A lot of people, it's nice to say that I went to France, and I'm glad I get to say that. But had I been able to do it all over again, I would have definitely done things differently. But that being the case, we did see some really kick-ass things. So the problem is we spent so much time in the car. It was so bad. And the French countryside, as cool as it looks, I left all those cobbles up there, huh? As cool as the French countryside is and looks, the French countryside, it's a lot like driving through the countryside of America. And I find it very funny when people say things like, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's so amazing, I can't believe that there's countries or there's places still like this left in the world. And I'm like, this looks like we're driving through Nebraska. Not in a negative way. It's just like, it's a lot of just land. There's cows, there's fields, like, and every so often you might drive by a historic structure. Like a lot of the driving, and we were in the car, like I said, for like 4 hours every single day, getting from like point A to point B, which made you really tired when you get to your destination point, because then you're just like, I don't want to. Oh, I don't really even have the energy to do anything, because it really just takes it out of you to sit in a car for hours upon hours upon hours. So either way, we went to all these places, and I'm a firm believer that before you get too excited about foreign areas, I think there's so much of America that most people who really love to go to Europe and all this stuff, like, and think it's like the greatest thing ever to get out of the country and go to Europe. I think there's so much like in America that they have yet left to see. And I want to make a trip actually just going through like areas of America I've never been. I don't care if it's cool and crazy and, you know, super historical meaning or, you know, whatever. Just take me to some places in America that I've never been. I'd love to go see, you know, Wyoming. I've never been to Wyoming. I have no idea what they have to offer there, but why not? Wyoming. Let's just go check it out one of these days. I'm, like I said, firm believer in things like that. Yeah, and she gets so excited about this stuff that she pretty much, if you ever seen the movie Euro Trip, I hope you guys have, because I even watched it on the plane because I was really excited. That movie is amazing. But the one guy constantly is pulling out the Frommer's travel guide and the Frommer's guidebook to tell them pretty much how, like, everything that they need to do. And that's definitely, Julia got addicted to this Ray Stevens guidebook. And, well, the book says this, and the book says this, and we should do this, and the book says this. And after a while, I was like, look, we need to stop dealing with this effing book. Like, let's just do something. Let's just have fun. She wouldn't, like, eat at any restaurants that weren't recommended by the book. She didn't want to go, like, to do anything that wasn't written in the book. And I was like, I want to make a book, and I think this would be amazing. And really fun to do, but, you know, as much as French cuisine, it's okay. It's good. You know, when you're in France, go check it out and have, you know, French cuisine. You don't need to have French cuisine every single day to get the experience of having, like, eating at a bistro in France. And, you know, sometimes it's actually really hard to find straight up, you know, cafe French cuisine because a lot of things are, many different cultures exist over there. So I want to start a guidebook that's pretty much America cuisine in different countries, because I think that would be amazing, and not because of the fact that I'm like, oh, I think American food tastes so much better. No, I just want to know what other countries' impressions of American food are. I was so determined to make it to a McDonald's, because McDonald's are pretty big out there, which I never ended up making it, which I'm kind of sad at myself about. But I really, really, really wanted to go to a McDonald's, not because I wanted to go eat at McDonald's, but because I want to go and see what their version of McDonald's is. What do they have? Do they have some random French staple? Is it just a normal McDonald's, like something like that? I have no idea, and I never was able to make it. We passed so many, but Julia was such in the mood for, you know, following all these recommendations from the book that by the time she was like, okay, let's go to a McDonald's, because I said one day, I was like, I just want some coffee. And coffee in France, it's so hard to find. And I know people are going to be like, it's so easy to find. Everybody drinks coffee. There's coffee everywhere in France, but it's not the same. It's not American coffee, that's for sure. It's like espresso, which I don't mind espresso. And if you ask for, like, coffee is cafe, but that's not really coffee. It's more espresso-like, though you'll get to a place that has coffee or cafe, and then it's really hard to understand what they really are talking about, because everybody calls things different items. We would be out to restaurants to eat. We'd be trying to get our bill at the end, and we'd ask one person, like, can we have the check? Because we thought it was called check. And they'd be like, check? No, understand. And we're like, check. And they're like trying to make the hand signals and pull out your credit card. The credit cards are a whole weird thing over there in France anyway. And one person would be like, oh, bill, oh, okay, bill. And they'd come over and bring us the bill, and we'd pay. And then we'd go to the next place, and we'd ask for the bill, because that's what the other guy just understood it as bill, so we must have been wrong. It must not be check, it must be bill. And they'd be like, bill? No. And you do the hand gestures again. Oh, to check, you want to check. It's like, wow, I don't understand what's going on here. Like, nobody seems to understand us, and we don't understand anybody else. That is for sure, which makes traveling extremely difficult, because like I said, most people actually didn't speak didn't speak English, which was, it was cool and it was, not cool. It got frustrating after a while. I will tell you this. Oh my God, you guys are... we had so much problems ordering at a couple restaurants we were at because the people just did not speak any English, and our pronunciation of things in French, like Julia really wanted to get mussels. So we go to this place that she had seen signs and stuff for, and the book had talked about, of course the book had talked about it, as having these really good mussels. And mussels, moulets, M-O-U-L-E-S, moulets. I didn't know how to pronounce that, Julia. Even though I took 2 years of French, it's pretty sad that I don't know how to pronounce anything in French. And Julia goes to this place and tries to... we had coincidentally sit next to this group of people who are speaking English, and they see us come in, and they're like, they had this huge, crazy, off-the-wall seafood platter, and they're like, oh, she's going to try to sell you on the seafood platter like they sold it to us. They're like, it's delicious. And they spoke like really good English. I think they were from... oh, I don't even see those guys. I don't know if they were from England or if they were from just a different area that, around there that spoke English or what. I wasn't entirely sure. But either way, they were telling us about, the seafood special that they had gotten and how good it was. It was the first thing that this person tried to, sell them on. And so the waitress comes back, and she does not speak a lick of English. And we're trying to point to their stuff and tell them that we want the seafood platter. And Julie keeps asking for mussels, moulets, and nothing is happening. There's such confusion. The lady takes Julia to another room to point at a lobster tank, and the lobster was part of what was on this seafood platter. So Julia was like, yeah, lobster and seafood platter, and is trying to point it out, and this lady is getting so confused, and then comes over and essentially makes something gets worked out, the fact that they're out of the seafood platter. The seafood platter's gone, and mussels are gone. It's pretty much what we get out of it. So we're sitting there for a while, and the lady leaves and doesn't come back to the table. So we're just sitting there with I don't remember. I was drinking a beer. I think I found it was one of the places that had beer on tap, which was few and far between. But so I'm drinking a beer, and I'm sitting there, and we're like, we can't order anything. This lady's not understanding us. She's also not coming back. We also think that they're out of all this stuff, so we're not really 100% sure what's going on. So we just try to tell her, we'll take check. What? Sorry, Bet. She looks at us like we're crazy again, and we're like, check bill, trying to get that part of it across, and she just looks so confused, and she looks at us with this funny face and just walks away from the table. So we're all extremely confused, and the guys at the table next to us, they're like, here, let me help you out. I think what she was trying to say wasn't that they were out, was that, it's blah, 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 and he's explaining something about the seafood dish. So he tries to intervene and steps in and starts asking her something, and he goes, oh no, apparently they are out of that, and the mussels are gone, and all this stuff is gone, essentially. So we're like, yeah, can you just let her know that we just want her to check, because we're gonna go. If you're out of the food that we want, it's fine, we'll just go to another restaurant. It's not a big deal. And so he tells the lady this, to which all of a sudden, moule means mussel, not moulets, I guess. And all of a sudden, there's 2 orders of mussels that they can get a hold of for us. So we're like, okay, whatever, you can get a hold of these mussels. I'll find something to order. I can't break this damn block. We'll find something to order. Julia will be happy. She'll get her mussels, because that's the only thing that she really wanted out of this. So she orders these mussels after this whole ordeal, and I order some random beef thing that's on the menu, because there's a lot of random beef things on the menu, which is delicious. Whoops, that's Scrabble. And finally, the food comes. Julia's food comes, which is definitely not mussels. And I look at this plate, and she was like, well, it's good, wonder if those mussels are coming. I'm like, what do you mean you wonder if the mussels are coming? Obviously, either moule does not mean mussels, or you ordered the wrong thing, or there was still a misunderstanding, and nobody knows what we're going to get anymore. And she goes, well, no, I asked her, I wanted something on top of the mussels, so I asked her what she recommended, so I got this. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, I've been sitting here the whole time. How on earth did you try to ask this lady what she recommended? And she's like, oh, and I was pointing at the menu and blah, 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 and all this stuff going on. I'm like, Julia, why on earth? It just took us a half an hour to order because nobody can understand what's happening. And you're determined to ask this lady for a recommendation after you finally get the order in that you want, which confused the hell out of everything because, yes, of course, when she apparently asked for a recommendation, she changed her order, essentially. She pointed at something else on the menu, which made the lady think that she wanted something else instead of the mussels after all of this whole thing. And I was like, why on earth would you ask for a recommendation when there's such a language barrier we're already having? We barely were able to order in the first place, and now you just like you asked for something that completely like you knew she wasn't going to understand a word you were saying. So we go to another restaurant. Later in the day, we get to the Valley of Chinon, like multiple hours later. Actually, I think this is like the next day. And she does the same thing. We can't order anywhere. And all of a sudden, like, this lady's having such a hard time understanding what we're trying to order. I'm just, like, pointing at the menu, hoping the things are what I think that they are, because there's not an English translation next to them. But I'm thinking I understand what I'm ordering. So Julia starts pointing at things, and all of a sudden I just hear her go, do you have any recommendations? And the lady, like, looks at her all funny, like, shakes her head, like, I don't understand what you just said. And she's like, recommendation, food. Recommendation. I'm like, Julia, you need to stop asking people for recommendations when they obviously don't understand what we're doing in the first place. We can't even order the food that we can see on the menu by pointing to it. We can't even get that right half the time. Recommendations are not something you want to do. But she just continued to ask for recommendations. I thought it was just the craziest, most off-the-wall thing in the world. Either way, Chinon, one of the last stops before we were in Paris. We were only in Paris for 2 hours. Like when we went to the Eiffel Tower, and pretty much the next day my flight was, and the way my flight was, there was absolutely no way that I could have gone to Paris again during the day and made it, back in time, because we were staying outside of actually the city, so you had to take the train into Paris, and we didn't have our rental car anymore. So taking the train in takes a long time and costs a decent amount of money, so I couldn't risk going in there and missing my flight. But so we spent a grand total of like 2 hours in Paris when I made that video about the Eiffel Tower and things like that. But Chinon is a cool little town, a very historic town, like exactly what you would see in a movie about France. They're actually filming a movie while we were there, which was kind of weird. But we Airbnb'd this fancy like apartment, which was really, really nice. But Julia just fell in love with this place and now wants to like move to France and live in this apartment in Chinon, even though it's a place that everything shuts down in France at like 7 p.m. It is so hard to find anything to do or eat after like 7 o'clock, and everything shuts down between like noon and 3 as well. Like we would go into restaurants at like 5 because we missed the lunch that they were serving, and people would be like, no, we don't open again until like 9. Like they'd open from like 9 to 10. There'd be nothing to do from like 7, and then at like 9 o'clock things would open again for like an hour and shut back down. It was really hard to understand like the culture and what was happening in this place, but it's because I'm not familiar with it. But she fell in love with this place, and all did she kept saying, like, let's move here, let's move someplace like this. And I'm like, no, please, for the love of God, I'd rather just go someplace where I'm happy and I understand and I know what I can get, and things are, we can find a town sort of like this. It's not going to be as historic and little. I mean, it's one of those little towns where you actually drive on pretty much the sidewalk to get into the town, because that's we started driving on the road at some point because, our directions told us to, and we're like, we're not allowed to drive here. This obviously isn't right. We shouldn't be driving. Ooh, a spawner. I was like, we obviously shouldn't be driving here because it's, obviously this is just a walkway. And then all of a sudden the car would like come passing us by, and we'd be like, oh, okay, never mind. Like, I don't quite understand how this town works. But I mean, it was cool and all, but it's definitely someplace to visit, not to live. I wouldn't want to live in a town like that. I want to live in a town where things are, things are happening. You can do stuff. You understand it, and that's me though. Like I said, I want to make a book where I go check out all these other countries and find out how they do American cuisine and find the best like American food that they have to offer in the town. Just because, when people come to America, people constantly are going to like little French bistros and like, oh, I found this awesome French bistro in America that I want to go check out. I need some coal, and I need coal bad. Like, I found this awesome little French bistro in America I want to check out, or this awesome Chinese restaurant, or all this random things, and it's never, Another golden record. Are you serious? Another golden record. These must be those weird chests that didn't actually work right or something. I don't know. But I think it'd be awesome to just be like, hey, you know, people, because when they come to America, they're not like, oh, I need to go find the authentic first burger joint that I can get to, like foreigners. They don't say that when they come to America. As far as I know, they don't say that when they come to America. So, you know, why do we have to do that when we go to foreign countries? Let's go to foreign countries and find the best American food. Oh my God, I'm doing this with a freaking, dang it. Get out of my inventory. Why am I still doing it? Yes, I know this thing is going to break soon, but I don't need all these buckets. Let me get some torches. Because I think that would be... I know people are going to think I sound like jaded and like ungrateful for the trip. I don't. I honestly, though, it's one of those trips that I'm glad I took, but I'm not that... I have no real need to go back anytime in the near future. I know some people are going to think that that's absolutely insane that I could think that, but hey, it's true. It's how I feel. It's how I feel about it. It was fun, but I don't need to do it anymore anytime soon. I'll be going to London. I hope I have more fun in London with actually seeing some of the sites that I want to see. Like, I want to see the touristy stuff before I go see the country stuff. Like, if it was my second or third trip to France, I'd be like, sure, let's go outside of the touristy areas and check out some other things. But it's not. Hi. Yeah, but it wasn't. And I want to see the things first that are going to be what make it the big tourist trap that it is. Whoa, 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 whoa. There we go. So then, I don't even know. There's so much I could talk about with this trip. And granted, like I said, I still had a lot of fun. I don't want anybody to take that away from it. But we flew on XL Airlines. And XL Airlines is basically a budget airline that is part of Air France, which works. Again, it was cheap tickets. It was like $600 round trip. But we flew out of JFK, which is in New York. We live in D.C. So let's figure out how we're going to get to New York. Are we going to drive to New York? Are we going to take the train? We're both coming back at different times. So we decided that we're going to drive to New York. I will drive the car back from New York when I get in. Julia's sister lives in New York. They're going to come back together because her sister's going to be out there in France with her for a little bit. She's going to stay with her sister and then take the train back like the next day. So this airline has the smallest seats of any seat that I've ever sat in. It's crazy. And like a half the normal like space for your carry-ons under the seat. So my backpack wouldn't even fit under the seat. I had to put it up in the overhead bin, which I felt bad about doing because, you know, of course other people have bigger bags that they want to put up there. Now I'm taking up some of the space with my backpack. But I mean, I guess that's the way the airline is. Now the people on the airline, amazingly, this is a specific route that goes daily between France and JFK. And I was expecting people on this plane to speak English, and that was completely not true, which is fine. We managed to fuddle through. But the problem is we tried to order some drinks on the way there, and the whole credit card system is different in France. They use the chips in the cards. They don't use the magnet cards. But I had called my credit card company and made sure that my cards are going to work in France and things like that because I already have the chips in my cards, so they said everything was going to be fine. It would work out fine. And of course, we try to order on the plane, and all that happens is everything just keeps getting declined, and we can't figure out why is everything getting declined. What is going on? Are we, you know, something not work with our cards? So we're freaking out about our cards not gonna work on this. There's another freaking spawner. The spider spawner. We're freaking out about our cards not gonna be, you know, working on this trip because of the. Come on, get up there. Whoa, that's not a spider spawner at all. Whoa, 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 no! Oh my God, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to find that stuff again. I think it's gone forever. Welcome home. your stuff is gone forever. I might go venture out looking for it in a little bit. Let me finish this story real quick, though. Either way, it turns out the airplane just has a big problem with these credit cards. I don't know why. It's just the airplane, because everything worked fine when we were actually over in Europe, except for one random toll plaza on the turnpike would not take our credit card, even though every other one did. And there's so many tolls in France as well. And then we got stuck at, this place because it's not taking our card, and it's a, oh, Jesus. And it's a, what the hell? Guys, I don't like you. So, either way, I think that was a big problem, a big mess, and we caused a big scene with all, not really a big scene, but some attendants had to come out and be like, oh no, American cards don't work. And we're like, oh, trust me, they do. We've used them at every other toll plaza. This is the very last one we have to go through. No, you wrong. American cards don't work. Okay, whatever. Here's finally, luckily we had exactly enough cash in euros to get through, but the plane, it wouldn't work on the way there or on the way back. And they looked at me like I was doing something wrong. And I'm like, look, it worked everywhere else in France. I'm on the way home from France. I've used this everywhere in France. But then, long story short, I get back last night. My plane comes in. It's like 10 p.m. 10 p.m., which is like 5 a.m. No, 4 a.m. France time. So my body is telling me it's 4 a.m. right now. I still have to drive back from New York to D.C. I get a shuttle. God dang it. I get a shuttle over to the, don't you dare get in there. I need to find a sword. Thank you. I don't want him to get into the nether because he will just like kill me over there. So I had to get a shuttle over to the offsite parking that we were on. So I'm waiting forever for this guy to come and pick me up. So he finally comes and picks me up, and I get over to the parking lot and start getting everything. And I'm in a group with a bunch of other people. They're giving him all the keys, and he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, your car won't start." And it's not even my car. It's my girlfriend's car. And I'm just like, what do you mean it won't start? He goes, I don't know what's wrong. It won't start. So I go out and put in the keys, and I turn the key, and nothing happens. But the radio's on. All this stuff is on. I turn the key, and it just doesn't start cranking over. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? So he's like, I'm going to try to jump it. Let me go get the cables. Which I don't think he had cables, because I was out there for about 20 minutes, and he finally comes back out, and he goes, I found one of the cables. I'm still looking for the other one. You didn't get it to start yet? And I'm like, no, I didn't get it to start yet. Like, I'm waiting for you with cables, for one, to see if it's a battery issue. I was like, I don't know what's going on with this thing. So then I start looking at it, and I start realizing it's a Mazda 3. They have these crazy security features and security issues on these Mazdas that make it so that it's the anti-theft system. Now, the problem with the anti-theft system on the Mazdas is if you lose one key and you only have one key left, you cannot program new keys to that car. You need a minimum of 2 keys to program to that car, or you have to get new keys cut by the dealership because of the way that I hate their anti-theft system. We went through this when Julia's car got stolen because they had to rekey everything because they had stolen it by they stole one of the keys, the spare key from the house. So there was only one key left, and they couldn't give us new keys or anything. Granted, we wanted to get new keys cut anyway because somebody else had the key, but they couldn't do it because of the fact that it was, it had just been, there was just the one key left, and it cost a lot of money to get that done. Luckily, it was done through insurance. So I started looking up on my phone real quick. First time I'm getting to use my phone to get actual real service again, and I started looking it up, and I see a bunch of people having the same problems. Like, randomly, this light is blinking on the dash. I can no longer, this is BTC's area. I can no longer get on to, or I can't get my car to start anymore. All that's happening is this light is blinking, it's not cranking at all, and people are like, well, try this, try this, try this. If you're stealing, it's not like blah, blah, blah. All this stuff, and it pretty much ends with, if none of these work, you have to get it towed to a dealership and get new keys cut. That's all there's to it. It is, at this point, 11 o'clock at night, in the middle of New York. I am at this random off-site parking garage, still trying to make my way back to DC. I messed with these keys for probably 45 minutes or something like that. I finagled with the key, did all this stuff to it, and I'll tell you, I turned the key around, and I don't know if that, like, that way that looks like it would be backwards, and I don't know if this is the way it's supposed to work, or if it has to go in one certain direction, or if it was just a random fluke, or what, but I turned the key around backwards into the ignition, and it freaking started up, and I will tell you, I had 4 hours to drive. I had less than a quarter of a tank. I had like less than an eighth of a tank of gas. Actually, the fuel light was on when we parked it. I was like, I'm not stopping this goddamn car, because if I turn the ignition off, what if that was a random fluke that it got started and it will never start up again? I have to drive this thing all the way back to DC at this point, fill up with gas, and never be able to leave the car. That's exactly what I did. I pulled out of the parking lot, the first gas station I saw. I had to fill it up with the engine running, which I know is dangerous because I was too afraid to turn it off. I never peed once the entire way home, never got a single thing to drink, never got out of the car other than to fill up gas where I left it running because I was too afraid to turn the ignition off. And I made it back to DC, and like it took me about 4.5 hours to drive it last night. You would not believe how tired I was because I had no caffeine. You would not believe how bad I had to pee when I got inside, because I had to pee when I left the airport. I planned on stopping at one of the service areas and getting something to drink and all this stuff, and it was miserable. And I got back at like 4:30 in the morning, which is essentially like 10:30 Paris time, which was the time frame that I was used to. Oh, what a trip. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. You just got to watch me rant about this crazy trip, as well as explode all my stuff. And maybe we'll get that stuff back. I have a feeling we won't, because I didn't know having my coordinates on any time in the recent time frame, so I have no idea where we were at. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.